Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here at the First Alert Desk. My name is Karli Barnett, and we want to give you a look at some of the stories that we are working on today. We hope you joined us for our 6:30 newscast, but if not, we have plenty of news still ahead. Keep in mind you can join us at 9 and 10 on Peachtree TV, as well as again at 11 over on CBS. And you can watch all of our newscasts streaming live if you go to atlantanewsfirst.com or in our app. We want to make sure that you are covered on all platforms, especially for your weekend, while we know many of you are probably out and about and maybe enjoying that last weekend for some of you before children go back to school. Several school districts all across North Georgia starting back this week. So we have all of that information for you. Keep in mind on atlantanewsfirst.com. And in fact, that is actually one of the stories that our reporter Asia Wilson is going to be working on later. There's a whole roundup of different back to school events, different communities stepping up and organizations helping each and every student get back to class looking and feeling their best, having the supplies that they need, having the clothes that they need. So really great to see that happening really all across Metro Atlanta. Various school districts helping out. Yesterday, we told you a little bit about some events going on in DeKalb and Clayton and for Fulton County schools, and we have more of that tonight. So all this back to school news will still continue. And hey, we hope that everyone has enjoyed their summer break, but getting ready to hit those books again. A few school districts have a little bit more time. I believe you have maybe about another week. But either way, that is quickly approaching. So we want to take a look at some of the top stories that we are working on. I told you what reporter Asia Wilson is going to be taking a look at. Now we want to turn to reporter Yasmina Alston. She has actually been out at Lake Lanier all afternoon. This is just a really horrific case, just a bizarre situation to occur that happened out at Lake Lanier. And we'll take you out to some video of that right now. But Forsyth County police say they are investigating after a young man was electrocuted after jumping into the water this morning. A 24-year-old was killed, and we now know his name is Thomas Milner. 24-year-old Thomas Milner was killed after jumping into the lake from his family's dock near Dove Trail. Officials say he was electrocuted when he entered the water. Police say neighbors took a boat out, and one of the Good Samaritans jumped into the water to pull Milner out, but they reported feeling a burning sensation, which they recognized as an electric shock. Police say someone had to turn the power box off near the dock before pulling Milner to shore. He did later die from his injuries. The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office says they still don't know why the water was electrified, but they are continuing to investigate that tonight. Of course, as we said, we're wrapping up near the end of summer. People just trying to go out on the lake, have a good time, enjoy these final days of their break, and this horrible incident happens. And as we said, police are still investigating why this took place, but it does appear that something to do with the power box caused the water to be electrified, and 24-year-old Thomas Milner died from his injuries after being electrocuted today. So just a really horrible set of circumstances, and we wanted to keep you updated on this because this is a big story that we are following today. We know many of you guys head out on the lake and try to enjoy your time out there, so we had certainly a lot of interest in wanting to know more details about this story, and those details are exactly what we are trying to work on for you tonight. Now, an update to a story that I had followed earlier this week, as well as reporter Adam Murphy, but the Porterdale Police Department is planning to give an update, they say, early this week regarding a cold case that they were investigating. Now, this case actually happened 7 years ago, and we don't know a lot of details about this other than that Morgan Bauer, 19-year-old Morgan Bauer, went missing in February of 2016. And police have come forward on Thursday. They had a press conference with the FBI and the GBI saying that They were executing a search warrant at this home in Porterdale on South Broad Street, and they didn't give a lot of details other than that there was enough evidence found that warranted that search warrant. And they were out there pretty much all day on Thursday surveying the property. And we want to play this previous story that Adam did. This is our latest update that we did Friday to tell you a little bit of background on it, but we wanted to let you know about this because this got a lot of attention, certainly being connected to a case that's now been cold for 7 years. We don't quite know the connection there. All police would tell us is that it was related to this case. So I want to play you Adam's report from Friday afternoon to give you just a little bit of background on what exactly is involved here.
24 hours after the FBI searched this Porterdale property in Newton County, the scene on South Broad Street is now quiet. Investigators said they located pieces of evidence here on Thursday in connection with the disappearance of 19-year-old Morgan Bauer. And as you might imagine, this is big news for people in this small town.
It's really a shame that after all these years that they're finally finding something, and it's sad to think that the community wasn't able to help back 7 years ago.
Bauer was last seen in the Porterdale area 7 years ago. Investigators not saying what evidence was discovered, but they did confirm the property they searched belongs to Dr. Robert Warren and Judith Warren, and both are cooperating with the investigation.
It's scary, but it's happening all over the country, and it's very sad that we have missing people, especially young women like that.
Morgan's mother, Sherry Keenan, posted this statement to Facebook within the past 24 hours. She said, quote, "At this time, my family and I are doing our best to be grateful, graceful, peaceful, and prayerful. Please allow us time to navigate this process. We are taking things minute by minute. I see each of you and will respond once I am able," end quote. And she had this to say to our sister station in South Dakota in January.
I can't imagine living without her.
And I hope for the parents that she is found safely, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case.
Adam Murphy, Atlanta News First.
As we said, this is just something that her family is hoping to get more answers on. They are very much in the dark about what is going on as well. I actually spoke to Taryn Ryan, who is Morgan Bauer's best friend. I did a Zoom interview with her on Thursday, and she said that they're all just hanging on to hope. They've carried that hope with them for 7 years. However, she says they also need answers. They need answers. They need that closure that they have not received yet. So on one hand, they're trying to remain hopeful and optimistic, but on the other hand, they are just wanting to know what happened to Morgan and figure out what the circumstances were of her disappearance. So just to recap, Porterdale police, they did not give any new updates over the weekend. They concluded their search Thursday evening. They did not go back out to search the area Friday. We are told that they are still looking into this, still investigating. It's still very much an active investigation, but according to the Porterdale Police Facebook page, they say they plan to give more updates this week, sometime early this week. So that's where that case stands. And certainly hoping that Morgan Bauer's family and loved ones can get those answers and closure that they need, and hoping that we can find more details about how exactly this property could be related to Morgan Bauer. So I want to take you now to a story that I did on Friday, actually, and it's just really always nice when we can share some positive news. And this is a situation in which the situation just looked dire, and now family has received some hope and some encouragement. This is the story of a young man, Chase White, 22 years old. He was involved about 3 weeks ago in a really horrific accident. They say his vehicle rolled over 4 times. The accident actually happened in Hilton Head. He was transported to a hospital in Savannah where doctors told his parents that essentially there was no hope, that they had to face a very difficult decision, and that he was not going to live. However, his parents refused to believe that, and they are happy to say that Chase is making remarkable progress that they can only describe as miraculous. And tonight they are still pushing for the community to help them out. Chase is going to need significant rehabilitation. There's really no timeline for his prognosis or how quickly he could come out of this, so to speak. But they know that he will need a lot of rehabilitation, and that's where you come in. And we have a link to this story on atlantanewsfirst.com. The family has set up a GoFundMe account, and so they are still pushing for donations tonight. So I want to play that story for you now. His family's just been through so much, but they are encouraged by the progress that they're seeing.
And just miracle after miracle.
Miraculous is the only way Jason White can describe it. His son, 22-year-old Chase, is defying the odds from an accident no one thought he would survive. It was almost 3 weeks ago. Jason learned his son collided with a crane truck in Hilton Head on his way to work. He was rushed to a hospital in Savannah.
He has sustained a major brain injury, major trauma, and that he probably, that he wasn't going to make it. They didn't say probably, they said he was not going to make it.
A brain injury, broken arm, broken jaw, a collapsed lung.
We were told that we needed to make a big decision, basically to pull the plug on him and let him go.
Faced with a heartbreaking choice, one doctor tried a surprising final test.
He said, put up 2 fingers, and sure as not, he put up 2 fingers. Chase did. His mom and I were sold that he wasn't totally brain dead, that he was still there.
Local philanthropist Stephanie Blank, board chair for the Georgia Early Education Alliance, is a family friend and stepped in to help.
She jumped up and put him on a plane at 3 o'clock in the morning, flew him all the way to Grady Hospital, and then had one of the top surgeons do surgery on him.
They say the care Chase has received at Grady made all the difference.
His legs are moving. He can squeeze my hand on command. He tries to open his eyes.
They say Chase loves his family, is kind to everyone, and has a baby due in September. They're all taking it one day at a time.
I think we're all confident that it's going to happen. He's going to come out of it.
And while they know the road is long, they now have something they were told wasn't possible: hope.
He's definitely in there, and he's definitely alive, and he's fighting very hard.
Karli Barnett, Atlanta News First. Well, you heard from his father there. Obviously, they are all surrounding him there at Grady Hospital. They're staying by Chase's bedside every single day. And if you want to learn more about their story, if you feel compelled to check out their page, we do have a link to their GoFundMe there in the article. Just incredible to see this family's faith and how they're all banding together. And they just say they are just taking it one day at a time, but they're so encouraged, like we said, by the thing that they thought they didn't have, and that is hope. So we want to turn now to look outside. Looks nice now. We sure know it is hot out there, but many of you guys might be getting ready to go back to school this week. So
Aww.
I know.
Had to remind them.
I know. Hey, but we want some beautiful weather for the bus stop,
Yes.
right?
And I think that tomorrow's going to be pretty nice. It's still going to be hot. Recess time, it's going to be hot. Various school districts have their own policies. We have no heat advisory tomorrow. We have no heat advisory Tuesday. So likely the normal school day will go on and you'll get your outside time. But it is going to be on the hot side with temperatures peaking tomorrow in the mid-90s and probably, in spots, some upper 90s out there. So just keep that in mind. We're going to be tracking heat tomorrow. But the good news, and I want to say all that only to end with the fact that we're going to be tracking lower humidity, drier air filtering into North Georgia. Now, what does that do? It makes the heat feel a little less hot, to kind of oversimplify it a little bit. We have the past few days, we've had hot temperatures, upper 90s, mid to upper 90s, and you factor in the moisture in the air, and it feels hotter than 100 in many spots. We're just going to lose the moisture, so it's going to be hot, but it won't feel quite as hot. Again, going back outside, taking a live look at Buckhead in the foreground. That is Midtown and downtown way there in the distance. Lots of sunshine, the yellow light being cast and kind of reflected off of our high rises there. We have a gorgeous sunset underway, a nice evening, mostly dry in the city. And unlike last night, I think most will remain dry this evening, overnight tonight. We did have some pretty noisy, one in particular, noisy storm moved through the heart of the city yesterday. And the rest of us dealt with scattered showers and thunderstorms on and off through the day yesterday. So drier this evening, and then we're tracking bigger changes. First, drier air, a dry forecast, and then the humidity comes back, and so does that rain chance. Let's go ahead and get to it. We'll start with radar. And right now, things are pretty quiet out there, not tracking much going on across North Georgia and metro Atlanta. Jumping over to, excuse me, the big picture. We are dry in Atlanta. One little shower along the Alabama-Georgia state line in southern Chattooga County, that is to the north and west of Rome, will not make it into Rome, so remaining dry there. But the shower continuing to push southward. The Galesville area in eastern Alabama, kind of along the Chattooga and far western Floyd County line. Maybe a quick shower, but it's weakening. Lake St. Clair and Oconee, you guys got some storms earlier. Booming, thunder, lots of lightning, heavy rain. In fact, southern and southeastern Putnam County under a severe thunderstorm warning earlier this evening. The remnants of those storms are now well to our south and east, pushing to I-95, North Florida, the Jacksonville area, back into Savannah, Charleston, so coastal communities dealing with storms that impacted southern portions of North Georgia earlier today. You're saying, hey, what are temperatures doing out there? Does it feel much nicer? And, at the moment, it is still warm. Gorgeous sunset, though, kind of backlit. Gorgeous shot there. That's Kennesaw Mountain and the distance, and that's Marietta Square there in the foreground. A little dark, kind of hard to see the square, but it is nice out there in Marietta. Mid-80s, Atlanta already down to 85. That's a little cooler than it was. That's about 4 or 5 degrees cooler than it was this time yesterday evening. Lawrenceville 84, Athens 86. Hour-by-hour forecast always available, even when we're not live in the Atlanta News First Alert weather app. And you can get the forecast by scanning the QR code upper right-hand corner of the screen. But obviously, you are streaming right now. So if you have another device, or just remember, search Atlanta News First or First Alert Weather in your app or Google Play Store. An easy, free, and simple way to download the weather app, and you can be alerted through the app. Even if you're away from the TV, you're working, can't watch the news, sit down in front of a TV on a any given workday, you can be alerted to this pattern change we're talking about right here in this stream anytime in the First Alert Weather app. Nothing really changing about tonight, though. A little bit drier, not as humid. Temperatures gradually back into the upper 70s by 1, 2, 3 a.m., and I think mid-70s out the door inside the perimeter. A couple degrees cooler than the past few mornings. And look at this. Outside of the perimeter, more noticeably, a little bit of a drop in the temperature, maybe upper 60s versus lower 70s. Though Redan, Palmetto, City of South Fulton, McDonough, Henry County, Rockdale County, south and southeastern portions of the metro are still warmer than 70, but, not too bad, and I think with a little less humidity. Notice, though, Blairsville at 60 tomorrow morning, 68 Dalton, 67 in Canton, 69 in Rome, 66, mid-60s in Carrollton and Carroll County. But that is where the drier air is more noticeable. You can kind of even see it on the map. Notice where the greens are, northwestern half of the area, more of the yellows and the oranges, southeastern half, hanging on to a little bit more humidity. And because there's more moisture in the air, that's actually why they're not able to cool as much down in LaGrange and over in Athens compared to Rome and Carrollton. And of course, Blairsville has elevation on its side. That'll help keep it a little bit cooler. For drive time tomorrow, the morning commute shaping up nicely. Temperatures not bad. And I think noticeably the air just a little bit drier. So a green light breeze up to 80 or so by 9 a.m. So it's not a cool day by any means. It's just a drier feeling day. And what that means also is that the fact that, yes, the morning may be a degree or two cooler, but temperatures are going to warm even more swiftly. So we're going to be basically the same as we were today by the lunch hour, with temperatures peaking tomorrow afternoon, I think in the mid-90s. We were about 94 today, actually going 95 tomorrow, so technically a degree hotter. 93 up on the shores of Lake Lanier in Gainesville, Hall and Forsyth counties, lower 90s. Athens, Clark County, lower 90s. Floyd County typically is a warmer spot, and tomorrow it is as well, 94. 93 down in Coweta County, Noonan, but notice the right-hand column, those temperatures in red, not that much higher, and in some cases lower or the same as the actual air temperature. So we've been in this pattern where the moisture in the air makes that 95 feel like 105, but we're not going to have those ingredients tomorrow. So it is going to feel just a little bit better out there. Keep that in mind. So for those that are going back to school tomorrow, love it or hate it, recess will probably still have it. And for the parents watching, your students probably will still have recess tomorrow. No, not expecting any heat, restrictions out there. No heat advisory or excessive heat warning, anything like that in effect. But it is going to be toasty. Make sure they're staying hydrated. Send them with a cold bottle of water. Sunscreen, a good idea. If anyone's outdoors for an extended period of time, those still on summer break or those out working outside, find some shade when you can. Of course, most uncomfortable after about maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then will remain hot feeling through about 6 p.m. And then bigger changes on the way. In fact, let's go ahead and pull up that 7-day forecast laid out for you day by day. And I think more drastic changes by Thursday, but technically by Wednesday, I think you're going to notice humidity increasing. But before that, Monday, Tuesday, mid-90s, yes, but mornings, low to mid-70s, coolest morning of the work week. Tuesday morning, 73, but that's in the city of Atlanta. So if you live in Alpharetta, Milton, Roswell, if you live in Palmetto, the city of South Fulton, Douglasville, if you live in Stone Mountain, if you live in Pine Lake, in DeKalb County, temperatures 60s, possibly out the door for a short time Tuesday morning. Afternoon still warm, but a drier heat. Doesn't last long though. Humidity makes a comeback Wednesday. Spotty rain chance, so I still think a mostly dry day. And then notice we have written more storms in the forecast Thursday, and an even further bump in our rain chance Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as scattered to probably numerous showers and thunderstorms develop. Of course, as confidence increases in that forecast, will be nudging those chances of rain up. Right now, 40%, but I would not be surprised if those chances really get a boost here as we get into the latter portion of the work week and start of the weekend. And it is looking like potentially in this setup, it's going to be one where we have rounds of showers and thunderstorms moving through. So for a time, it could be raining almost everywhere, and then you have a 6 to 12 hour break, and then a second round, and then another 12 to 15 hour break, and then another round, basically a round a day sort of scenario as we get into that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday period. And it is possible that some of these storms could actually sweep in the overnights and mornings. So watch out for that Thursday and especially at Friday morning commutes and any Saturday, Sunday morning plans, not just an afternoon and early evening chance of showers and thunderstorms. Been watching the feeds on Atlanta News First on YouTube. If you're watching on Roku, Amazon Fire, and the Atlanta News First app, First Alert Weather app, or at atlantanewsfirst.com. Thanks for watching. I want to remind you, if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, you can navigate over to YouTube Live. Atlanta News First is the account to like and follow. Going to wait a few more moments, see if we have any weather questions, comments, concerns coming in. We'll do my best to address those here. And again, you can always find me on social media, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, Facebook. Send me a message. Cutter Martin, CutterMartin. Not just myself, but you have Ella Dorsey, Patrick Pete, Courtney Jacobazi, Fred Campagna, Rodney Harris, and Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez, all working to keep you updated. You can always find our socials online. Ask us a weather question, and of course we'll be diligently answering back, especially as probably more questions come in by Wednesday into Thursday as the forecast trends a little cooler, but also wetter. And again, full forecast coming up in about 30 minutes. Atlanta News First on Peachtree TV. Stream it or sit down in front of the TV, give it a watch. Also, we'll have a 10 o'clock hour, and then back on WANF with your full forecast this evening. Want to wish you a wonderful rest of your Sunday. For some, the last little bit of summer vacation, enjoy it. The work week starts nice, still hot, but a drier heat, and then rain and storms back in the forecast Thursday, Friday, on into the weekend.